You'll see. Hey,
Yeah.
good morning, everybody. Tricia Turner here with another episode of Anything But Average, Achieving Success in Life. I am super excited. I'm excited every day to share everybody's stories with y'all. These people are my friends. These are people that I'm in business with, and they just have incredible stories. But Vincent Koo, who is with us this morning, has one that I can kind of relate to. If anyone knows my backstory, because I own my own brokerage as well. And Vincent was part of Exit Realty. He was a broker for Exit Realty for years, and probably from the outside looking in, people thought, I'm sure he had it going on and he was ultra successful. But Vincent switched over to EXP with us less than a year ago, and
Yeah.
I wanted him to share a little bit about his story and his backstory. So good morning, Vincent.
Good morning, Tricia. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you for being here for sure. To start off with, kind of tell everybody where you are in the United States and a little bit of your background, please.
So I'm in New York. I'm second generation in real estate, in SOB, as they would say, right? Son of a broker. So my parents had a brokerage for, I think it was like 30 some odd years now. And I came out a little after college, and unfortunately, the reason why I came in was because Dad got ill and eventually passed away, and so I came in to take over the family business. But after 5 years as an independent with them, I twisted Mom's arm and I said, let's explore franchise opportunities, right? So like a lot of people, we went from independent to franchise. For a lot of reasons, right? There's systems that you have in place. There's marketing, there's branding, there's things that you don't have as an independent, or it's a lot harder to establish as an independent.
So when you were an independent, before you did the franchise model, how many agents were you running with there?
When we've always liked to build it as big as we could. So it was actually 2 locations and 45 agents. The location was open for less than a year before I kind of dropped it on my mom, and I said, this is what we have to do. And she said, I don't want to buy 2 franchises, because for those people that know about purchasing franchises, at that time, I think it was like, upwards of 25,000 to get that first one, and it's increased since then, right? So she's like, I don't know these guys. I don't want to buy 2 franchises at one time. Yeah, let's put our toe in with one location. So we moved over with one location, and we dropped from 45 agents to 18.
And it's a huge number.
Yeah.
You're feeling that, I'm sure.
No, what I realized was that we were just holding a lot of licenses as an independent, right? So, so we started taking things a little bit more seriously, and over the, over 14 years that we were with the franchise, we went from those 18 agents to over 300 in 3 different locations. So it was a pretty dramatic growth,
So it was Exit Realty, correct?
It was, yeah.
Okay. And you had more than one location too, didn't you?
We were in New York, and for those of you that know New York, we started in Queens. Our second one was in Manhattan. Then we did Long Island, right? So we kind of, how people follow the progression of the families that move. When they're single, they're living in one location. Then when they start a small family, they move into the next, and then as the family grows, they kind of move on. So we kind of followed the progression of our clients as well.
So with the franchise model, having 3 different locations, growing like you are, you're the broker. Were you having to put managers in place at each location?
Oh yeah. So, you'd have to staff all of the locations, and I can't say we were overstaffed. I think we were always understaffed. I mean, it didn't look that way from our payroll expense, but from the amount of, I guess, what all the demands of the real estate agents, we were always understaffed. Everybody was kind of like up to here.
Oh yeah, right? Including yourself, I'm sure, as the broker.
Oh yeah, and everybody had to be all the departments, right? So the manager was also the IT department, was part of the marketing department, and everybody just kind of jumped around and did everything. And it was so difficult.
But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it all falls on your shoulders too, because you're running this organization. You gotta succeed.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was really nonstop. So I appreciate how things are right now because I mean EXP's got close to 500 full-time staff members, and in all specialized departments. So if they need
Yeah.
anything, I'm like, go talk to the accounting, and go talk to team management, or payment processing, or whatever department they're in. And it's
So
great.
on the franchise model, how long did you run with that at Exit Realty?
Over 14 years.
Long time.
A
So
long
during that time, what was it that kind of made you start to think, you know what, I'm not happy running this model, or there's got to be a better way? What was the struggle there, or struggles?
there was a few, and I can't say it wasn't good, because it was good. It was a lot better than running an independent, in my opinion, because
I'm sure. Yes, I've done that.
and we were able to scale a few things. Number one, I noticed that we were in the business of teaching, coaching, and training the newer agents to get into the business, right? We'd bring them up from brand new agent part-time to full-time top producers, and we were good at it. But after a while, it was hard to hold on. And I think that there was some limitations with the model. And, top producers at the end of the day should be paid more,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And in many of the models that are out there, not just specifically the one that I was with, it was, they end up being the ones that pay the most into the company, right?
Yeah.
So you had to, I was on the hunt for something that would make the most sense for them. Okay. And
Yeah.
yeah, and also the scalability of it. I mean, we were kind of running into the same thing where you grow and you get very good in a particular market, and you're like, okay, how do I expand, right? Because it's all about territory, and each
Market share.
each location is independently owned and operated. And it's funny because I had a local franchisee that was like less than 2 miles away from us. Okay. And a good friend of mine, because we'd see each other at these monthly meetings in the region and stuff like that. But I was exploring it, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, this guy's been with Exit Realty for 5 years. How often have I gone to his location? How often has he been to mine? In 5 years, we visited each other's office maybe once.
I bet.
Once.
Yep.
And he was a great guy, but why wouldn't I go there? And we've opened up trainings to each other and said, hey, bring your people to my office, and I'll train them up, and vice versa. Yeah. Nobody ever went. Why?
Competition.
Competition, right? I was afraid they were going to fall for, how charming this guy is, right? I'm talking about my friend Pedro Trinillo, and they might leave and join his office, and he thought.
Absolutely.
So we never had this real collaboration. Each one is independently owned and operated, and it just didn't make sense. And every time I wanted to expand, the amount of money that you have to put out of your pocket to buy a license, to be able to use the name, and then you're limited to a specific territory.
Yep.
Right. So the capital expense just didn't make sense. Right.
No. And at the end of the day, it's like, you really assume the business is going to be so profitable, but then when you look at your end numbers, you're like, oh my gosh, what happened?
Right. And you wanted the profitability not just to be only directed towards you. Like, you want to be able to share it with your group. In fact, I used to mastermind with a couple of the the top franchisees from around the country, and we used to say, how can we share what we have with our top producers?
Yep.
Like how do we give them shares in our corporation? We're willing to do that. We just don't have a platform to do it. So we actually had some of them like pay accountants and attorneys to try to figure it out for the rest of the group.
Isn't that crazy?
We never figured it out.
No.
Right? So
Yes.
you kind of did the same thing. You went from independent to to EXP Realty. Right.
And it's the same thing. It's like when I did it, everybody was like, I can't believe, and I still talk about with the other brokers about it. They're like, I can't believe you did it. You had like everything going on. Why would you make the switch? And I tell everybody now, it'll be 2 years in October. It's like, that was the best business decision of my life, because like you and I were talking about before we went live, I wouldn't know you without EXP. And for everybody that doesn't know who Vincent is, I met Vincent. He's been with EXP less than a year. It's been 10 months. And I met him at our last shareholders conference, and he hadn't joined EXP yet. And I'll never forget, we had broken in between sessions, and we were in this huge ballroom, and there was hundreds of us, and I had already been with EXP, so I knew a ton of people, all of our like core group. And I remember he was just like going like person to person, and he had this look on his face. He was overwhelmed because A, we were in this huge event, and B, he just was so excited. And he came up to me, and he had seen the video about when I switched over, and because he's a broker, it was just an instant connection. And we just started talking, introducing him to everybody within our group, and it's been the best business decision of your life as well, correct?
Oh yeah, and Tricia, I appreciate you so much, because when I introduced myself to you, you just you grabbed my arm and you were like, hey, I got to introduce you to this person. I got to introduce you to this person, and I feel like my circle has expanded so much with the EXP Realty. I mean, you and I were in different time zones, and if we weren't part of EXP, we'd be brokers in different organizations, and
I may not even know you.
right.
And with our whole like core group, I may not even know half of them. I wouldn't know half of them. Why would I? They're in other states. It doesn't matter. But now we're all on the same mission, and it's insane. And we're all like-minded, like and I heard this when I first opened my brokerage, and it was about a year after it had been opened. Someone said something to me. It could even have been Jay, about when you're at the top, like when you're the broker owner, you are at the top in your organization. And so it's like when you're at the top, that's a lonely place to be, because who are you collaborating with? Your competition doesn't want to collaborate with you. Your agents are out just doing their thing too, and you're leading them, but it's like, who do you hang out with and do like we do together? And I didn't realize that until I was about a year in, and it was true. And then it became like I was seeking it. I was hungry for it, missing it. Don't know what you got till it's gone, kind of thing,
Yeah, and I think about the work that I was doing before and what it took to get some of that stuff done. We were always very growth minded, and we'd constantly be attracting agents, and we're in a business where there's huge turnover, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
People make it and some people don't. And I took a look at, I think it was like 2018. I was trying to figure out if EXP was the right move for me. And I took a look at my 2018 numbers, and I said, okay, 3 locations. We added this year 189 new associates.
That's a lot.
That's a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I said, okay, 189 new associates. What did it take to add all of those associates? So we had managers in each location. We had administrators in each location. We had somebody that was doing the finance across all locations, and everybody had to do, how many interviews did I have to do? Did the managers have to do to get 189 people to say?
Oh my God, I can't even imagine.
Think about that, and I had to chip in too. So, I was jumping around at each location doing these interviews, and at the same time trying to raise the production of the office. 109 people said, yes, let me sign, let me be a part of your office. At the end of the year, I netted 65 agents.
That is crazy.
Yeah. And there were many years where there were a few years out of the over 14 years where my net was negative. Okay.
That had to have been disturbing, because it's like, look at all your time and effort and money, and then to come out negative.
Yeah, but so I could always rationalize that, and I could say that is not important. Okay, it's not important because guess what? Production has gone up every single year, right? Okay, production has gone up every single year, but is this the type of business that I want to be in, where it's just nonstop churning? Like
Yes.
going through all these people. That there has to be better people in the bunch. A better success rate in the business, right? And I knew that we were good at getting agents productive, so that wasn't the issue, right? There had to be something else.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, in the 10 months that I've been with EXP, I feel like they've done a great job holding on to their associates,
Mhm.
right? They they really have. I mean, and things that I didn't even expect, like, the health benefits that I have for my family right now. I save over 1,500 a month on the health insurance.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy, and it's not something that I was thinking of when I was making my decision to move over.
No, and as broker owner in a franchise, for you to be able to provide insurance for your agents, you couldn't have done that, not financially.
Oh yeah, and I ask everybody that I'm meeting right now. I'm like, what are you doing for insurance?
Mhm.
And I'm surprised at how many people saying, just honestly, I'm not doing
They don't
anything.
have it.
I don't have it.
Mhm.
Like, I can't afford it,
Right.
right? And then now that I'm seeing the people that have been paying individually, I'm seeing that they're saving over 50% sometimes.
Mhm.
And a lot of the times, the insurance program is fairly apples to apples, right? Because I had my wife do the comparison and make the phone calls
Oh,
and
yeah.
the representatives, and she's like, yeah, our doctors are on, the medication's already in there, so this is a smart move.
Well, as a business owner too, it's like so many people get stuck in their ways and they get comfortable and they get complacent. And it's like something's going to happen and you're going to be disrupted. And then what? What is your plan B? What is your end game? Where are you going? Where is the end of the tunnel for you? And people don't think like that. They just live day in, day out, here and now. And when you're running an organization and you're the leader of that organization, it's your responsibility and your job to always be looking ahead, because look at all those agents whose families are fed because of your actions and what you do. And those leaders out there that don't take that kind of responsibility, shame on them, because it isn't fair to these agents and these families that get left behind. And then at the end of the day, it's the leader that ends up just seeking what's best for them and not worrying about the agents. And that's what's wrong. One of the things wrong with our industry.
Right. And we're out there preaching to our clients, hey, you need to have ownership because that's how you're going to create wealth, right?
Yes.
But our agents are just renting their businesses from us,
Mhm.
right? And I was renting my business from my franchise.
Yes.
And it was, renewal time. Every few years it's renewal time, and it's like, oh, I got to go and pay rent, right?
Mhm.
What do I really own here?
And when you have that franchise, I'm sure you didn't have the abilities to create passive income.
Luckily at exit there was the ability to have the passive income, and it was tied to agent attraction as well. That's
Okay.
when EXP made so much sense for me, because it had the same concept, just a little bit better alignment, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
more opportunities.
Yeah. And like when I switched our office over, one of the things that I first noticed right away, because I'd seen the world vision boards, and it was world domination by EXP. And I was like, I'm watching all of this. And I remember when I had one of the discussions with Jay, and Jay's like, think of it like this. And you know how Jay is, he's just blunt about everything. And he just really simplifies it. He's like, here's the deal. You have a Blockbuster and we have Netflix. So
Yeah.
you tell me, if you could change things, would you go open a Blockbuster today? And I'm like, well, no, who would open a Blockbuster today? But would you get involved with Netflix? Well, yes. And you know what? There'll probably be something better than Netflix. And then when you think back of Amazon, a million years ago when Amazon first started, nobody even really knew what it was. It's just some online bookstore. And so if you didn't really read books, you didn't care about Amazon. Now look at freaking Amazon. It takes over everything and it wants to be involved in every industry. So if you're thinking about the future, it's like there's no better way than to be in that kind of massive production model. And so when I first switched over, one of the first things I recognized within the first 6 months was the people like you, the people that were all engaged together. You can't put that amount of people with that much drive and ambition and power under one umbrella and expect it to not succeed. It's just
Oh,
not possible.
you're absolutely right. I was thinking, I heard somebody say, it was actually one of the leadership at EXP, say they told me that 152 brokerages moved over to EXP Realty last year.
Crazy.
Okay, and so far this year we're outpacing that. In fact, we look to double, double those numbers, and I want to be a part of that growth. And I've had conversations. It's Wednesday, and I've had meetings with about 6 different brokerage owners so far this week. It's just people are interested in what we're doing.
Well, they are. And now, with this COVID thing, no one saw that coming. Here in Houston, we were on pace to have an amazing 2020, and we still will.
Mhm.
But this thing was like a slap in the face that nobody saw coming. But we already do things virtually. We collaborate. And so, like I tell my agents, I'm like, you guys, and I even told them this in our Monday meeting. I said, one of the things I'm most grateful for is my relationships with all these other brokers and team leaders across the nation, because we literally are on calls with each other every single day. Like, what's going on in your area? How are you guys overcoming this? What do you see happening here? We're collaborating. There is no other model that you can do that with.
Right. And it's like out of this pain, the innovation happens, right? So people are starting to, get more comfortable with the virtual stuff and presenting. And there's a lot of opportunities right now. And what's nice is that you have so many people that you could look to for advice on how they're doing things. So I could say, hey, Tricia, how are you guys handling these virtual listing presentations, right?
Yep.
We've got agents in our system just presenting their live listing presentations to us and teaching us exactly what they're doing, and we get to in turn teach our associates.
Mm-hmm. And you know what they tell you, if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to move to a different room. And with our group, it's like we're always leveling up. I'll hear you say something, I'll be like, oh crap, I didn't do that. It's like I'm not going to sit there, but yeah, that's stupid. I'm going to be like, Vincent's doing it, I need to be doing it because he's ultra successful. I want to do what he's doing. We model each other, and who else does that? And so when you're out talking to people, even with the agents, I'm like, you guys need to realize what a huge blessing this is. And I can't even imagine what it will be like in 5 years.
Right. I really think it's only the beginning, at least in this state. Where you are, I mean, you're still just kind of scraping the surface, aren't you?
Yeah.
The number of agents on your board and in the state, I mean, we haven't even begun over here. And, I think that, I was really fortunate with the timing.
So for you, with your agents that you're running, because you have a team there now, right? You moved your agents out of Exit and they're now part of your team, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
are you growing locally there too as well?
Say that again.
Are you growing your team locally as well, or is it?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And we're expanding our reach even locally. I mean, because over here, even though things are fairly close together, I have a group maybe about less than 20 miles away, but it's a whole different, completely different county and different MLSs and things like that. And for me to expand there, I could only imagine how much it would have cost me to jump into that market. And it was just a relationship, and all of a sudden an entire team just moved over, and we've expanded to a new market.
Yep.
And that's been happening, every couple months I've got a new market opening up and a new state opening up, which is nice, because it was never an opportunity for me to expand out of New York.
No, I love that. So with you guys there, COVID hit y'all, of course, really hard. New York was the ones that were worst hit. And you and I talked when this first came around. What are you seeing now? Are you guys starting to be able to open back up and kind of get back to business a little bit?
It's been so kind of back and forth. One day they would say we're non-essential. Next day they say, okay, you guys are essential, but you can't do any showings. And we're saying, okay, what can we do? So we're still getting clarification and things like that. But luckily you have agents that are versatile, and you have agents that are driven enough to go out there and communicate and continue to communicate with their clients in their sphere. And there's people that need to move right now. And what I find is people are accelerating their plans. Right. So I have people that say, hey, I was thinking about moving to, Florida, Texas in 3 years. And now they're like, I'm going to go before the end of the year.
Right. I'm going now.
Yeah.
They're probably like, I'm getting the hell out of New York.
Right. So, and that's the other nice thing about our network is that, I think it was between the last 2 weeks, it was 3 seller referrals from Florida, from our partners in Florida to just and it's amazing, and they all want to accelerate their plans.
So when this virus hit you guys and y'all got into this lockdown pattern, I'm sure you had to change the way you were communicating with your agents a little bit. And definitely, I can't even imagine what it was like there. You had to have been the forceful leader trying to give them hope and encouragement, because that had to have been scary for a little while.
Yeah, but Tricia, we have this platform that we've been using ever since we've been with eXp Realty, right? So our office meetings, we love to gather. We love getting together because that's where the magic happens, right?
Yes.
And when we gather at the office, a lot of times we duplicate that meeting onto our private team suite in the world anyway.
Yep.
So they were used to getting in there. They were used to interacting through eXp World and our cloud office.
Mm-hmm.
So when we made that switch, it was fairly easy. They adapted to it, rather well, and that's the advantage that we have because they've been doing this for 10 years already.
Right.
Right.
So it was a shock to the system, but not so much because you guys were already doing the virtual thing.
Yeah, and then I think that the newest part of that is working virtually with the buyers and the sellers.
Yes.
Okay.
What are you guys seeing there? Or is everyone receptive to it?
You have different groups of agents. You have ones that are just early adapters and just like I just did my first one. I recorded it. Here's Vincent. I'm going to send it to you. Tell me what you think. And then the third one is completely different from the first one, and it's fantastic. We have these deals that are 100% virtual right now, and I love seeing that. And I have a talk with some of the agents that are not adapting to that as much, and I say, your buyer right now has a window of opportunity, right? You've got all of these guys that are, a lot of buyers are sitting on the fence because they don't know what to do. They don't know that the real estate agents are essential, that they can work, right? Even if it's virtual, they don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So they're sitting there waiting for their agent to contact them. They're not being contacted.
Yeah, or the news to tell them that everything's back to normal.
Right, and you've got sellers that want to move now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they're not getting offers on their place. So you have this huge window of opportunity where you could connect the buyers, you could connect the sellers, and you could do things virtually, and you could present offers. Because you know what? A month and a half ago, all of these buyers were in multiple offer situations. Mm-hmm. They were getting outbid, and now they have the opportunity to be one of the few offers on the table. So
yes.
I think it's huge, and I think that if you take advantage of that, you're going to walk out of this thing better off than you walked in.
Because you guys pretty much remain in a seller's market there, don't you?
I say we're in a seller's market, but there's a window of opportunity for the buyers, and that's why I'm pushing everybody to go out there and identify the people that are now buyers, because they're in your database. And you just treat a little bit.
Well, it's just like with anything, fear is crippling. And when people don't know what to do, they stop. A confused mind won't take the next step. It just stops because that's the easier thing. And so even in my organization, I talk to my agents and they have, buyers and sellers sitting on the fence. And I just told them Monday, it is your job to reach out to them over and over and over and tell them what an opportunity is right in front of them. Because if you let them miss this opportunity, shame on you. This is a huge opportunity for buyers and sellers here. For sellers to be able to sell their house maybe when they couldn't a few months ago because they had a lot of competition. Now they don't. And buyers the same. It's like there's not a lot of people out there, just like you said. You guys got to get out here and make it happen. But if you're an agent just sitting by letting it happen and waiting for it to happen, shame on you.
Yeah. And the nice thing is they don't, now they don't only have to hear from me, right? Yeah. I could put them all in front of you. I could put them all in front of the other leaders that we have in our group. And a lot of times, they respond differently because it's coming from somebody different. There's a new way of telling them that information. So it works well. We're really blessed. in that respect.
We are. So to tell everybody, for agents that are watching out there, what are 3 things they should be doing right now and for the next 30, 60, 90 days to grow their business and get out of this situation?
I think a lot of people have been saying, walk out of this thing with some new skills, right? So, one of the things that we have coming up here in New York is Express Offers. And I don't know if Express Offers is open in your state yet.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. So that is EXP's own iBuyer program. And what I want our associates to do is get certified in it first. And I have a few agents that are already certified. And what's nice is they actually get to introduce the institutional investors into the platform.
Yeah.
Right. So, imagine that, just opening up all of these off-market homes to your investor.
Yeah.
Right. Would they give you back those listings, for that opportunity? Of course.
Yep.
Right? So I think the first thing is, get very clear on what you want to learn. Right. I was just chatting with a friend out in Florida, and he's just finished up another certification. Right. So he's got a certain goal of, adding a few alphabets after his name, before the end of this thing.
Good.
The second thing is learn the new way of doing business. Right. People that think that this is going to pass and things are going to get back to normal, I think are going to be caught a little off guard. Right. When I open up, I'm wondering how many sellers are going to invite realtors in, how many open houses we're going to have, or if they're all going to be virtual.
Yep, me too.
Right. And I think the third thing right now is to expand your network. It's a huge opportunity to go out there and be connected with you, in this moment. I mean, you do these things every morning. Am I right?
Yeah.
I think
I'm committed to doing it. I usually do them weekly. But then when this COVID thing came around and the news, I'm not a negative person, but the news was like penetrating people. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to put positivity out there every day. So I made a commitment, out loud, that I would do them every morning for the whole month of April. And I get messages from people every single day. Thank you. You have no idea how much you're helping me. It's so much better watching you guys than the news. And so I will continue it, not every day after April, but we will do it a lot more than once a week because it's so impactful.
Yeah. And it's such a commitment on your part. And, it's so nice that you're just giving back to everybody and bringing that positivity right in the morning.
It's so funny that you just said that because I write every morning. And one thing I wrote in my journal this morning, because I like pray and stuff too, and I wrote, use me every day to do your will, even if I'm just changing one person at a time. I just want to make it a better world,
I love it. I love it, Tricia.
Hey, thank you so much for spending the morning with me.
No, it was very nice. Very nice.
Tell everybody, Vincent, where they can find you or find out more about your organization, your team there. How can they locate you guys?
So I'm trying to be more present on social media. I guess Instagram would be a nice place to go. So it's Vincent Koo _NYC. You can find me over there. Okay. And I'm just happy to communicate with everybody. Facebook, of course, right here. Okay.
And what's the name of your team?
I've got the Alliance Movement at eXp Realty, and it's a nice organization. We span multiple states in this short period of time, and I'm super proud of those guys.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you're part of my life. You're just an amazing person. I so appreciate you.
Thank you, Tricia. I appreciate you too.
Have a great day. Bye, you guys.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.